Okay, I believe we're live on this stream. The other one, I tried to use a different software. I don't know how long it's going to take for people to come in. So I'll just give it a sec. But yeah, I'll wait till. And here we go. We got some people here. All right. Okay. So we were trying to use a different software to stream, like when I'm going to record instead of just recording straight away. Oh, man. Okay. I think we're in now. It's like all good. Okay. Yeah, my connection was really bad. So yeah, I was trying to use another software to let you guys know that I was streaming before I hopped on, because I know that I've just kind of randomly hopped in. Okay, it's lagging. Here we go. Sounds like my internet. Different. I've reconnected to a different. Am I on? Just like if someone can comment, just like if it's good. Just I don't want to. All right, is it all good? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I was trying to use another software. The software didn't work. That's why I didn't start on time. But yeah, I was just trying to let you guys know when I was streaming, because I've just started these up, and yeah, like it wasn't too great last time, or like I didn't get as many of you guys as I wanted. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about how to pick a perfect food for your fish. And basically, I'm just going to pretty much talk about foods in general. I've got a bunch of all my foods are here, like they're all on my desk. So I'm going to go through them. I'm going to explain a bit of stuff that I know, and try and help you guys out as much as I can. So I'm going to start by talking myself. You guys can just ask questions throughout the stream, and I'll try and answer them as I go, as well as at the end, I'll answer all the questions. You can ask questions about anything. If you guys are interested in asking questions about food, I'll try and answer those questions. But if you guys are interested in questions about my fish or any of that kind of stuff, feel free to ask them. So if you guys have seen today, I released a video pretty much talking about foods for fry. So today we're going to be talking about foods for everything, like all kinds of fish and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm going to try and make this as interesting as possible. And I'm also going to ask anyone here, I'm guessing that if you guys are in the stream, you've probably already voted, but on the community page, you guys can go and vote. I am naming the Epistogramma male dwarf cichlid. We are naming him. There's 5 names I believe you can choose from. I put a bunch of random ones in there. At the moment, the name that's winning is Diesel. So if you guys want to do that, feel free to go and do that, because I'd love for you guys to all have your say. And I'm also going to ask if you guys could just give me a bit of slack, because I have not been feeling too great. No, it's not coronavirus. I don't believe I have that. I hope I don't have that. And yeah, so anyways, let's start talking about food. So there are a few things about food that we need to know when we have our fish. So I believe the most important thing with food is that fish enjoy the taste and eat it. That's obviously the number one piece of information that we need to know when they eat food. So quite often we're on the pursuit, I think, in the hobby of finding, if you're like me, I've always been trying to find the perfect food that my fish will enjoy. And I don't really know how to explain it, but a lot of the times companies are trying to boast to you about that their food is the best and that their food is completely revolutionary, and they're always trying to innovate and all that stuff. But often when I've tried new foods, sometimes most of the time, the biggest problem with the food is that the fish don't initially like the taste of it, and you actually have to train them to eating those specific foods. So that's the first thing that's important. So whether the fish actually do like the food. The second thing is the size of the food. So sometimes food can be a bit too big, and often you'd rather have, I think, a lot of little pieces of food rather than a bunch of really big pieces, because the fish generally would rather eat little pieces. So size is an important part of the food. The nutrition of the food is obviously important, and the shape of the food is obviously important. Now with fish, you kind of want to, when you're keeping fish, you just pretty much you want to replicate what the fish is going to go through in the environment. So we have a bunch of different things that happen in the wild. We've got all different kinds of fish. We've got carnivorous fish, we've got omnivorous fish, We've got herbivoreal fish. I think that's how you say it, herbivores. So carnivorous is fish that eat meat and other fish and like live animals and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got omnivorous, which eats plants and animals. And then obviously herbivoreal is pretty basic information. But we want to kind of make sure that our fish are getting the full spectrum of what they need. So in front of me, we have a bunch of different foods that you guys can use. And I'm going to pretty much mention these all right now. So first of all, we've got our standard tropical flakes. I use a bunch of different types. I'm not endorsed by anyone, but this is just a tropical flake, which I'm trying. And it's just literally it's by like Aqua Effects. It's really not anything too special. Then we obviously have pellets, which I've got here. You can hear them. Pellets aren't like flakes. I don't know how well you guys can see. I don't want to pour them all over my desk, but pellets are kind of like smaller. Like, I don't know how to show you guys. Pellets are normally used for bigger fish because they can fit them in their mouths and they float a bit better. Then we've got tablets, which you can stick to the side of your aquarium. They're pretty standard too nowadays. They weren't around when I first started, but a lot of companies have developed them since, and you stick them to the aquarium side of the aquarium. You can take photos of your fish and all that kind of stuff. Really easy to use. And we've got algae wafers. And we've also got other things which I couldn't bring upstairs because they would melt. So we've got our frozen foods, we've got our live foods, and we've also got gel foods. I think I've covered everything that we need to know here. So those are the kinds of foods that we can get. Now, depending on the kinds of fish, it's completely variable for what's going to be the best food for your fish. So sometimes I've noticed when I feed foods, some foods float for too long, some foods sink too quickly. I like to have a food that sinks relatively quick, but I don't want it to sink straight away because when we have fish, we have like top dwelling fish, medium dwelling fish, and bottom dwelling fish. You kind of, if you've got a community aquarium, which I'm guessing everyone here probably does, you want to have a food that kind of goes through the whole stages of the aquarium. So the top, the middle, the bottom of the aquarium. It makes it like those are the zones we need to hit. And sometimes when we're feeding stuff like these aren't flakes, by the way. This is just a container of pellets. They float for too long. Fish don't realize they're up there. The bottom dwellers don't get them. They don't sink to the bottom. And we have problems with that. Sometimes when we're feeding flakes, some of the flakes stay at the top of the aquarium too long and the fish at the bottom still don't get any of that. Sometimes we have flakes that are too heavy or that's another food I forgot, crisps. Sometimes food just falls straight to the bottom and the fish at the top don't get any. So it's important that all of our fish are getting fed. So another thing we're going to talk about is a lot of people, when they're feeding fish, they will feed once a day and they'll feed but like all the fish won't get a bite. So what we can have in the aquarium is a scenario, I think it's saying a bit unstable pieces of food or whatever. Let's make it smaller. 10 pieces of food, for instance, you probably would feed a bit more, but you have a community aquarium and there's 10 fish in there and you think that because you fed 10 pieces, all 10 fish are going to get a bite. Now, that's simply sometimes just like it can happen, but it's simply not realistic at all. Sometimes we have the case where we have a super aggressive fish or a really fat big boy fish in there that wants to eat all the food before anyone else can get a bite. So that's another problem we can run into with feeding. And it's important that we are feeding like multiple times a day to make sure like that we are that the fish are getting all getting like a bite of food, because if you feed once a day, the fatty guy gets all the food. We've got problems there. So I think I've covered most of the stuff that I initially wanted to talk about. I think I'm going to start talking about the nutrition side of things. So when we have our foods, there's a lot of things that are important with nutrition. So like obviously I was talking about before, you've got like herbivoreal fish, you've got omnivores and all that kind of stuff. We want to accommodate for all those things. So what that means is that we basically want, if we have fish like, for instance, guppies, which you probably all have kept, it's really important that, because if you think about guppies in the wild, we don't really get them in the wild right now, like because they're so inbred and all that kind of stuff. But in the wild, they would have algae, like they'd nip on algae, they'd eat small little bugs, they'd eat bacteria, they'd eat a bunch of other things. And it's important that, like, for the optimal health of the fish, that we are covering all of these things. So the way we do that is we feed a variety of different foods. So what I like to do is in the mornings I'll feed all my fish flake, or I'll feed them a commercial kind of food, and then at night I'll feed baby brine shrimp, because that's when my things hatched. But in between that, because you want to feed about 4 to 5 times a day, if you can, I reckon that's like the max. The minimum I'd say is about 3 times a day. But it's important that in that meantime, I'm feeding like algae wafers. I'm kind of tossing it up with a bunch of different things that I can use, and I'm varying up their diet to make sure that they're getting as much nutrition as possible. So when we're talking about what is the best food, basically what I'm saying is there's no best food. The best food is consistency throughout the day, and consistently giving a varied bit of food for the fish to get optimal nutrition. So what I like to use is I use the frozen foods. So frozen foods are the next best thing to commercial foods, because when we think about it, like if you were, say, you were opening up, for instance, like a bread, like a thing of bread, like a sliced loaves. Like imagine every time you open that up, you open it up, a little bit of air gets in there, it covers up the next piece, and then you keep doing that until you're at the very end of the loaf. The end loaf is going to be so dry and so old, and it's not going to be as fresh and the same as the first piece it was when you first got the bread out, if that makes sense. We have the same thing happen when we have all of our food. So like, for instance, what I'm saying is that's like, it only works to an extent. So like, obviously all these foods work perfectly fine, but when we get into the end, the food's not as fresh. So the way we overcome that is frozen foods. So I like to feed frozen bloodworms. I like to feed frozen cyclops, frozen baby brine shrimp. There's all kinds of different frozen foods you can get. And this is the next best thing to the commercial foods. So often I use commercial foods like what you can see here. These I use as fillers, because I can't always feed frozen foods because it can bloat the fish because there's so much protein in it, or I can have problems where, like, sometimes it's frozen food's expensive, so it's easier to feed these foods because they're so cheap to buy, like compared to frozen foods. So what I'm saying is the next best thing is frozen foods, and then above that is live foods. So we're talking live foods like baby brine shrimp, or even just brine shrimp. You can get Daphnia, cyclops, micro worms. You can get even live bloodworms and all that kind of stuff. They are all the perfect food, because basically those are the foods that the fish eat in the wild. Here, just give me a sec, because we're pretty sick here. Definitely not coronavirus. I'm promising that I'm not going to shake any of your hands if I see you. So yeah, it's not coronavirus. Yeah, I'm hoping. So I was talking about live foods. So live foods are definitely the best foods to feed your fish, because obviously the fish in the wild are going to eat live foods. All the fish that I keep are omnivores, except for the bristlenose plecos, which are kind of almost omnivores. They eat a lot of live foods anyways, or like protein kinds of foods. So those are the best foods to feed, but we want to feed a wide variety of those foods. So like, for instance, I'll explain, to make better sense of this, I'll explain my feeding program. So what I like to do, obviously I was explaining it before, but I'll explain it in perfect detail. In the morning, I go down to all of my aquariums. I will drop in a piece of zucchini in the aquariums with like herbivore fish. So these are the bristlenose plecos and the fish like that. If I had cherry shrimp, I'd be doing the same. So I drop in a piece of zucchini so it can sit in there throughout the whole day. And then for the fish, I will feed some flakes on the top, or if I have the means to do it, or I'm trying to induce breeding, I'll feed some frozen bloodworms, or I'll feed some frozen brine shrimp, depending on the fish's mouth size, to make sure that everyone's getting a bite. And then so there's that in between period, like that morning tea period, I'll go through and I'll just feed some more flake to all the fish that eat flake. Like the angelfish aquarium will get some flake, and some of the fried tanks will obviously get some flake. And then lunchtime, we're going to do some more flake, or we're going to toss it up again with some more frozen foods in there. But then in the afternoon, my brine shrimp hatchery normally hatches by then. So I've got baby brine shrimp. So then I'll run through all my aquariums that need the brine shrimp. So The aquariums that don't need brine shrimp are the angelfish aquarium and the Cacatoides aquarium because they're just a bit too big. And same with the like guppies, kind of sometimes I get it, the rainbows don't get it. But I'll go through and I feed all my fry baby brine shrimp, and then in the afternoon I'll do another big feed. But overnight I'll normally chuck in a couple of algae wafers as well. So it's all about playing this game of like, well, I fed this a couple days ago, so I'm going to feed this now. It's really hard process to go through. It's not hard, but it's hard to keep simple, which I'm trying to keep it simple. So basically what I'm saying is, what is the best food? The best food, I mean, I love a good cost-effective purchase. So if I'm going to give you guys my best piece of advice, I'd say the best food is definitely frozen bloodworms and flakes. Now, this is a bit biased because there's pros and cons to both these. Obviously, frozen bloodworms are a bit more nutritious. They're a bit more fresh than the flakes and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, frozen bloodworms can cause bloating because they're so full of protein. So I've never really had this happen because I don't feed my frozen bloodworms enough to the fish to have the bloating. And then there's obviously cons to, like, obviously, what I said before, the live food, you can get all kinds of like the food gets old. So that's pretty much it for what I was going to say. I'm going to go through and answer your questions now. I'd love for you guys to ask me pretty much anything. I think that these are like the best foods to feed. I don't know. I'm not used to this live stuff. I'm still trying to do it, but let's go through a couple of questions that you guys have. So I was asked what time it is. It's only 6:23 at night. So 6:23 p.m. And yeah, who else we got? Thank you in advance. Really hardy stuff. Make sure you cover it. Magpies and etc. are eating them all up. Also, a lot of hides because their blue tongue lizards love getting in there. Oh, okay. So we're talking about ponds. Yeah, I said that in the last video. Ponds, yeah, you got to cover them up. Like, especially in Australia, here in Brisbane, we've got magpies, we've got like lizards, we've got all kinds of stuff. We've even got frogs that eat your fish. So spiders, I've even heard of eating the top dwelling fish. So yeah, it's really important you cover it up. I recommend using like a net. I mean, that's not going to get rid of everything, but it's going to do a pretty good job at keeping the birds out, which are the main culprits of eating your fish. So we don't want to be getting our birds in the area the best food possible. We want to give our fish the best food possible. So it's important. Yeah. What is my favorite video I've ever made? Man, I've made, and it's not a lot compared to some other people, but I've made like 120 videos on this channel or something crazy. So I don't know. I feel like with the YouTube videos that I've made, now they've gotten like a little bit better, and I don't like know about what you guys are thinking about the videos at the moment, and I'd love to know. So if you guys are enjoying them the way they are, please let me know. But I think a lot of people came to my channel from that original guppy video. If you guys did, please like let me know, because I'm talking about the guppy video, the easiest, like with the big flame guppy on the front. That was like, it's got like 350,000 views or something crazy. That video, I feel like that was probably my favorite, not just because it got so many views. And like for me, the views don't really matter, but that's definitely one of my favorites because that video, yeah, it started everything, but it was so authentic. Like I just recorded it with the same phone that I've got now. And I recorded it with like my little earphones in to make sure I had a good microphone on it. And then I just straight away uploaded it. I remember sitting at like my house, and I was like sitting with my mom, and I was like refreshing it. And it was getting like 10 views every like 10 minutes. And I was like so excited every time. And so, yeah, maybe that one. But then the other one that I really did enjoy making that was a bit different was the really dumb fish video. Now that was a bit of content that was different from what I did previously, and it like didn't get many views, but that doesn't really matter. I really enjoyed making that because I pretty much made fun of all my fish. All my fish were abused in that video, and I felt like I could take the mickey out of a lot of stuff. So I pretty much, if you guys haven't watched that video, you can find it on my channel, but I made, you can find it after the stream, by the way. I don't want you guys going and checking that out now. But that video I made, yeah, like I just pretty much took all my fish that I had back then, and I figured out like based on my opinion, what was the dumbest fish to what was the smartest fish. And then, yeah, I just kind of bullied them. I told them, talked about how they're stupid and what they do that's stupid. And yeah, so that was a pretty fun video to make. And like, obviously I like making the 7 tips videos. I don't know why I started with this number 7. 7's a lucky number. So that was a pretty OG thing to do. I made a 7 tips video on growing plants, and that probably brought a lot of you guys into. Yeah, no, it was a fun video to make too. So like, obviously I enjoy making all my videos. I enjoy making the vlogs, but if I was going to pick a favorite, I think from the video that brings me the most joy to watch is the first video, the guppy one, because it just reminds me of like when I had like none of my equipment. So yeah, that was pretty fun. But we can go and answer a few more questions. I'm going to a 2-month vacation. My friends aren't able to take care of my fish tank. I have platy fish. Should I contact a pet store and sell them? What would you recommend? Yeah, or I think, like, I don't know, obviously your scenario. You can buy auto feeders. I've used them in the past. I mean, I think that like Aquarium Co-op has a few really good ones. I don't know where you're from. I can't get that kind of stuff here. I've just watched videos on it, but they're apparently really good. So you can get auto feeders. I've used them too, but you got to be real finicky and you got to kind of practice with how they work and all that kind of stuff. You can sell them. You can sell them on Craigslist or Gumtree on Facebook. I don't think you can sell stuff on Facebook anymore that's live, but those are some solutions. I mean, maybe you can send them. I don't know. Maybe we get a sibling. I really don't know, but that is a hard scenario. I've had to deal with that, especially when you have people taken care of. It doesn't really matter as much with adult fish because you can, for about 2 weeks or so, or 3 weeks or so, you can get away with the adult fish kind of eating once a day with a really big feed, which I don't recommend, like I said at the start of the video, because not all the fish will get the same amount to eat and one big boy will be eating all the food. But the thing is that I've run into trouble with is the fry. The fry need to eat quite a few times a day, and that can become a problem when someone else is taking care of your aquariums because they're only going to come once a day and they're not going to feed them the same way that you do. So that's pretty annoying, but those are my solutions. Get an auto feeder or something like that. And yeah, what else is there? What do I think about Omega 1 brand? I think that you can't buy it here. I haven't seen it. And if I did see it, I'd buy it because I love testing out all this stuff because I want you guys to know what the best quality is. I don't think I have a favorite brand at the moment. I feel like all the foods are kind of the same. They're not like completely revolutionary to me, and they're all pretty similar in the way that they are. The fish like them. I've noticed that the fun tips that I've got here, fish absolutely go crazy for. My Danios, which I bred like the fry and all that stuff, absolutely go bonkers for this stuff. And this brand too, I think these are the Hikari algae wafers are really good too. Everything goes nuts for them. I've had trouble finding a good flake in Brisbane. I don't know what kinds of flakes you guys are using. There was one batch of Tetra flakes that I was using for a bit, and they were going pretty well. But like, my fish are pretty fussy. Like I feed them pretty good bloodworms and all that kind of stuff, so they get pretty used to that stuff, and then they end up kind of not liking the flakes as much as I'd like them to, because feeding flakes is like a dream sometimes because it's cheap, fussy, like especially my rainbow fish. But, you know, the only thing I can do about it is keep trying to force feed them the stuff. So doing lots of water changes, putting it in their aquarium as much as possible. Yeah, they're not easy on me, those guys. What is the fish you want the most but you don't have? Okay, so yeah, I was talking about this to myself today, like in the car. I was thinking about it because all the fish that I've got at the moment, I've bred except for the Corridories. And I haven't actually kept a massive range of fish. I've kept quite a few fish that are similar to take care of and all that kind of stuff. So I think I want to get into the Bozeman rainbow fish. They look really sick. They have so much color and they look like all rainbowy, like what a rainbow fish probably should look like. Those guys are cool. I think the reason I didn't get them and I got the dwarf neon rainbows is because the dwarf neon rainbows don't get as big, and the Bozeman take, I think, a little bit longer to grow. So for that reason, I didn't get them. But I think that's another thing that's on the horizon. And I don't know. I think I want to get back into the shrimp a little bit more. I know a lot of you guys were watching my channel who probably came from shrimp videos back when I was doing a lot of them. I completely got rid of all my shrimp to make room for all the breeding projects I'm doing now. But if I had to pick one fish, I think it's at the moment it's the bowline rainbow fish. There's a few other ones that I saw, like that I've been talking about in the videos that I'm pretty keen on keeping too. And I think the honey gourami is one of them. I like the dwarf gouramis. I've never kept gouramis before, and that'd be a really cool fish to keep. If you guys keep gouramis, like put it in the thing because I want to know how many of you guys want to see gourami videos. And another one, I put up a poll on my like community page. You can go and have a look at it. Whether I should breed betters. They're another thing that I want to breed because they're such a iconic fish to the hobby that I've never like really delved in. So they're another project that's probably going to be on the way. I could only breed them once because you get about like 200 fish and you can only sell them separately. So I'd be putting a lot of strain on my local fish store to be bringing in 200 of the exact same kind of colors. Like there'd be 4 or 5 different colors of betters, and he might have some trouble with that. So I don't want to be giving betters away for free because chances are they'll probably have way too many fry for me to sell. So I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. I want it to happen because I want to breed everything and I want to help you guys out as much as I can. But yeah. What else we got? If you guys want to ask some more questions, please just like ask anything, like even about food, because that's what this live stream is about. We're talking about food. I want to help you guys out as much as I can. And yeah. What would you recommend to put in a 100-liter pond in Brizzy? That's pretty small. So I'm glad to hear from Brizzy. Brizzy's an interesting place. Gets a lot of storms in the afternoons. 100 liters. So 100 liters is probably like a little tub, I'm guessing, in your backyard. Something small, obviously, you want to keep. I don't know if you want something to breed or if you want something to just like kind of look at. Ponds are a bit interesting because you don't really get to look at your fish the same way that you do with an aquarium. So ponds, you kind of like you put your like you feed them and then you kind of see them come up. That's really it. You want probably something as well that doesn't have too big of fins because it'll get like attacked, like it'll probably get eaten by other stuff because it's probably not going to be able to swim fast. I think in Brisbane, because of our climate, I think the best thing is Pacific Blue Eyes. And I know that a lot of people have that in their ponds. And if you're looking for something to fill it up, those guys are great. They look so cool. They'll breed for you if you put some like plants in there as well. And they'll be really, really sick. So I reckon, yeah, Tia, if you're going to get anything, definitely get Pacific Blue Eyes. I talked about them in my last video. Yeah, they're Australian native too, so they're used to the climate, they're used to the water, and they're quick, so they're not going to get eaten by fish or by birds as easily as some other stuff. So yeah, another interesting one you can try is them. Or, I mean, if you want to go for something else, you don't like that answer, you can also go for, obviously, guppies. You can, like, but guppies, I think the problem you have with guppies is they'll be a bit easier for fish to catch because they stay along the top pretty often, and they also normally now have bigger fins, so they'll be slower and they'll get caught that way. So yeah, everyone's telling me to get gouramis. Betters are easy to breed, but it's time consuming and costly. Yeah, because you have the whole process with you have to completely separate them and all that kind of stuff. So you need lots of aquarium space. Well, not lots of aquarium space, but you need lots of little finicky things. And yeah, it's pretty annoying having to do all that kind of stuff, but I enjoy it. So yeah, how could I reduce the ammonia of water? So ammonia is, I think, the best way for you guys to reduce ammonia. Like there's obviously a lot of things that cause ammonia, like overfeeding, all that kind of stuff. More waste produced is the thing that triggers the most ammonia. But the best way, in my opinion, instead of filtration, all that kind of stuff, which you should have like lots of. I've been upping up a lot of my filtration, especially with these summer months when lots of stuff likes to grow in my aquariums that I don't want. The best thing to do is add live plants. So we want, like when ammonia happens, we get lots of like, obviously the ammonia isn't bad for the fish. We get more like nitrates and stuff forming because that's just the cycle. So what we want to do is we need like a sponge that soaks up all that stuff. And the best thing is plants. So plants love to use it because it helps them grow. That's what they use to grow. So I recommend maybe putting in some Java moss into the aquarium, or like water wisteria grows really quick as well. You want something to kind of establish and then just you use it all and sponge it up and act as that natural filter. Because in an aquarium, it's a little ecosystem. It goes through cycles that are very similar to what we have in the wild, and we want to keep it as similar to the wild as possible. So plants help progress that a little bit more. So one thing that I've noticed is I hadn't kept bare bottom tanks for a very long time. I hadn't kept bare bottom tanks for about 2.5 years. And since I've started keeping in bare bottom tanks, I don't know if you guys have seen the recent videos, but the bare bottom tanks have been struggling like so much because that room that I have is a sunroom. So that sunroom gets absolutely caned with sunlight, and the bare bottom tanks that don't have much plants in it suffer. So we've got a little Midori tank, which you guys can see on the channel in the back. I think if it's your side, it'd be the left corner behind me. We have completely taken out all the fish from that aquarium and completely turped it. Now, what's caused that is obviously I was feeding a lot because it's a fry tank. I was completely oblivious to the fact that we had that much sunlight causing all the problems. And so, yeah, so what I'm going to do now in the future is I've got another aquarium, which you guys have seen as well, which is the rainbow fish fry aquarium. Now, this aquarium is doing a lot better than what we have in my other room, and that's because there's plants in there. So the plants are absorbing the process up. So I don't know if I'm making sense. Normally, it's a lot easier to explain these things when I make a video because I can completely get it the way I want it to. But I hope that helped you. Yeah. So all the people here, I just got a couple more people. If you guys are just new to the stream, please ask any questions you want. I'm just helping you guys out today. If I don't know anything, I'll let you know. I'm trying to help you. That's my goal with this channel, just making everything a little bit easier for you guys. And yeah, thanks to Craig Parrish for a little dono. That's my first ever donation that I've ever gotten on the channel. So really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it all helps. It helps me get a couple more little foods and also obviously a little bit better gear and all that kind of stuff. Just want to help you guys out as much as possible. So ammonia smells like boop. I can't say that word literally. And my baby guppies died. Yeah, you got to keep the ammonia down. So bare bottom tanks with frying it and all that kind of stuff. You want, yeah, I do water changes every couple of days, and I should be doing it daily. We're getting busy with all that stuff happening, so it's been harder. But water changes will keep the ammonia down too. I forgot to mention that. So obviously, you keep that stuff up, and you won't have as many problems. But yeah, it does smell so bad. So yeah, I have live plants, but only sponges and at my water cleaner, and no charcoal or macarons. Yeah, you don't need that stuff. Sponges are perfectly fine. I think you got to maybe reduce how much you're feeding and all that kind of stuff because that'll help you heaps. So yeah, how much would you sell guppy fry for to a local aquarium? Okay, this is a really good question too. So don't sell fry to an aquarium. This is a thing that a lot of people do because they get overrun with fish. It's better to keep stop the breeding by letting the parents do their own thing and letting them just eat the eggs, whatever, when you have too many fry. Because I'm guessing that if you're trying to sell fry, you've either got too many fish that have already bred and now you've got a problem because you've got so many fry, or the other thing is you're just not patient enough to wait for the fry to get a little bit bigger and to be able to sell. So I'm guessing maybe you're talking about fully grown fish and you're talking about them fry in that way. I'm not too sure. If you guys can just give me a break, let's relieve the corona. Yeah, coronavirus fixed. Thank you. Sorry about that. So the reason I say don't sell fry to your pet store is for a business reason. So fry are generally known to be more prone, obviously, to getting sick and dying and all that kind of stuff, especially when they go from your water to the local fish store's water or to bad conditions, or they're not as stable as adults are. So what can happen is you bring in fry, the guy might decide to buy them. He buys them and then they all die and he loses his money that he spent on the fish. So that can be a huge problem for you. You're not going to be able to sell fish to him again. You win once, but you're only going to sell it to him once. And local fish stores are a rarity nowadays, and there's not many in my area. You can't go to there's a few in Brisbane because it's a decently big city, but yeah, it's important that you don't really mess that relationship up. So I'm going to recommend is you wait till they're a bit bigger. The other thing with fry is that like, I mean, I'm guessing that when you went to buy your guppies, you probably bought. Oh, so you're selling fully adults, but I mean that probably helps someone else. But yeah, when you're selling fry, you've never bought probably fry from a fish store. You probably bought at least juveniles or adults. So yeah, but how much do I sell guppy adults to? Which is, I think, the correct question. Literally, it doesn't. It's a hard number to put a price on, because we've got different types of guppies. We've got like the fancy guppies and all that kind of stuff. We've also got common guppies, and we've also got really kind of like, I can't say the word, bad guppies that just don't look the same. So I reckon like the minimum that a fish store will probably take them for is 50 cents each. It depends how many you bring them in for. I think the max would probably be about $2 if you brought some really cool, like rare kinds in that they don't really get that often. So that's my range. I've been offered that. You can sell them all because you asked me before, you're in my same city, sell them on Gumtree, put them up for $1, and you'll find a couple of people that come and buy them. Obviously, the fish market's not a lucrative market, but it's a market that you can use to have a bit of fun with your hobby and make a little bit of extra money. So here we go. I've got to find a question. Here we go. I'm going to help you out, FaZe. It's probably from ages ago. Is it? Do you have your question again? Because maybe I have some gold opaline gourami. They're great. Get some. Oh, okay. Would you recommend Java moss for my 30-gallon crebensis breeding project or any other easy care plants? Okay, yeah. So crebensis are a cool fish. Obviously, like, they are breeding caves. They're dwarf cichlid. They love. I recommend keeping a few different things just because your aquarium's going to look a bit more cool. If you've got a bare bottom tank, yeah, maybe a big ball of Java moss would be good, because it's easier to take out when you're done with the breeding project or whatever. But basically, I reckon that's a pretty cool plant you can use. The thing that's perfect about Java moss is it's acting as a natural filter in your aquarium. So if you get a big ball of it, it's going to provide spaces for beneficial bacteria to form. It's going to cycle your aquarium. It's going to help out. You're not going to end up with a big green cordial tank. So that's a good plant. The other thing is, because it grows all those little bacterias, when your fish breed, the fry will actually be able to have a constant source of food while you're not there during the day, and they'll be able to eat the little things on the little microorganisms on the Java moss. So that's a really good thing. There's other plants you can use, obviously. If you've got a substrated tank, you can plant some like I was using Bacopa and all that kind of stuff. They really don't care for it. I just like to use quick to grow plants because they're, first of all, easy to grow. You don't need a lot of lighting, and they grow quick, and they also help filter, get rid of all the bad stuff in the aquarium. So like I've said, like heaps on this channel, Bacopa is a really good one. If you've got driftwood in there, chuck a bit of Java fern on there, or Anubias. That stuff doesn't really do as well, like as good a job of taking out stuff, because it doesn't grow as quick. But that's stuff you're not going to kill easily. Maybe some Vallisneria grows really quick in there too, wisteria, water sprite. There's a whole bunch of different things you can use. It really depends what you're going for. So, like, yeah, I hope you guys helped out. Oh, biofilm, yeah. Like Java Fern does create lots of biofilm too. So, yeah. Here we go. What else we got? Adult guppy, I'd say about 6 liters per guppy minimum. Okay, we're getting really specific here. So we're talking about how many fish can we put in an aquarium. So how many fish can we put in an aquarium depends on how many water changes you want to do, how much filtration you have, all kinds of stuff, what kind of size fish you get. Guppies and all that kind of stuff obviously stay very small, under like 3 inches. But the thing is, they breed like crazy, like rabbits. So super nuts breeders. So it's really a variable number. I'm not going to create like a little Bible for you to use, because I don't want to like get the number wrong. They normally say about a fish a gallon, and I think that rule comes from the guppies. Like I said, the most commonly kind of kept fish in this hobby. So I'd say about that. I think a gallon is 4.5 liters. I don't know. I'm not going to give you a number. I just say judge by what you can see with your aquarium. So if the guppies, you get them in there and there's not any room for them to swim after some time, then you're going to probably want to get rid of some guppies and lower that number. But also, If you've got lots of like two little guppies, like I reckon understocking a tank's a lot better than overstocking it. It's easy to keep, and it's going to be easier for you to take care of in the future, and that's like completely what I'm about. So yeah, if you guys, I'm not going to give you a number, but yeah, I hope that could help out a little bit. Just make sure that you're watching the aquarium and you are kind of like going with what you've got, because every aquarium is different. So yeah, if you have time, you should definitely do more lives like this. Yeah, I'd love to try and do this weekly. I've obviously got to sort out, like if you guys were here at the start, we had a bit of technical difficulties for a minute. I don't know if that other live's still up. If you guys could let me know, that'd be good, because I think that there's probably 2 lives going at the moment, but only one's streaming. So I switched to a different live streaming service. It's called like OBS, whatever. Like I'm not big on the live streaming stuff yet. So I tried to use that. I feel like a grandma right now because I completely stuffed that up and it didn't work. So I thought I had it going. It wasn't working. I had people like in there waiting for me, so I felt pretty bad. I was just like, stuff it. I'm just gonna go straight onto the old webcam service, and yeah, so I hopped on that, and that's just where we are. Can I do an updated video on the swordtail vid? I can, if I get more swordtails. I'll try and do stuff like that. I've obviously got to go through. I've got like a lot of videos on this channel, like I said, 120. So I've made videos on all kinds of stuff. There's like a video out there as well that I've made, which is on a mono shrimp, because that was back when I had maybe like 100 subscribers, and I was trying to help everyone out as much as I could. And someone kept asking for an mono shrimp video because I was putting like lots of effort into making these really dense packed videos. And I made this mono shrimp video, but I had cherry shrimp, and the video actually ended up doing pretty well. And I've got a video out there with, you can find it on the channel. It's an mono shrimp video, but it's got cherry shrimp, and yeah, it's got like 150 dislikes or something on it. So yeah, I'll try and do that stuff if I can find some CC footage, like uncopyrighted footage of them to show you guys, because I know you guys want to see the fish and just not me. So yeah, I'll try and do some of the swordtail vid. I've also got like a crebensis vid. I've still got to finish the bristlenose pleco video series, because I've done I could probably do another updated video on them, but I started up the series, and then I went away, and then the fry grew up and hatched and all that kind of stuff, and it was perfectly inconvenient time to start that. So there's a lot of stuff to do. If you guys help me out by suggesting stuff at the end of videos, I read all the comments and I try to reply to them all too. And if you guys want to DM me too on Instagram, I'll reply to those as well. So yeah, anything you guys want me to make, I'm here to try and help you out as much as I can. So yeah. You guys enjoying the live streams? Okay, that's good. So helping out 11 people in here, which is good. I didn't go to the Underwater Pet Expo. No, I didn't. I kind of wish I did. To be honest, I don't know if this is just for a better part, like me just being not involved enough to know about it. But here in Brisbane, I wasn't even notified about it. I had no clue that it was going on until I saw a lot of people there. So I would have loved to go. Obviously, the fish keeping grind is here in Brisbane for me, though. So if it's on next year, I'll hopefully get around to it, because I'd love to, go and talk to everyone and have a look at the stuff specifically, because there's lots of stuff still that I haven't done. So, I'd like to go to it. Didn't go to it, though, this year. I know that it's a pretty new thing, too. I think it was the first year of it. So, yeah. I'm breeding zebra Danios. Any tips? Yeah, I've got a million tips. Zebra Danios. Don't be good at it, because you end up with so many of them. So zebra Danios are one of the coolest fish for a beginner to breed. And this is for a few reasons. So when you start breeding fish, right, normally you're going to be suggested something like guppies, which is so standard. And I like guppies because they're so simple to keep. They're light bearers, so you get fry straight away. And super easy to keep. But zebra Danios, on the other hand, they're a really sick fish, because basically what happens is they are egg layers. So you get the whole entire process of these guys breeding, of how fish breed, in a really easy fish to breed. So my tips are, first of all, because they lay 300 eggs and they have such a high success rate, especially if you can keep them all alive. Don't be good at keeping fish when you breed these guys, because you'll end up with as many as I have. And I don't know if you guys saw my Instagram story, but I recorded these guys, and I had like 700 of these guys eating food. So they're they're a really easy fish to breed. So my tips are, first of all, use Java moss or something to I recommend Java moss to get them to spawn. So when they go in there and they do all their spawning activity, Java moss is a really good one, because I feel like they're spawning mobs, because they're a bit wider and stuff, they're not going to be able to catch as much eggs, or they're going to catch more eggs, and then you're not going to get as big a brood. And the other thing is, if I had my time over again, I wouldn't have done an infusoria kit, just because I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So if you guys are going to be really, really involved in it, and you want to get like the maximum benefit from for your fish, you can do an infusoria kit. But I feel like you're going to get maybe a 96% less result like this, like you're going to add with the Danios if you just feed Hikari first bites or something like that. I wouldn't recommend Hikari first bites with the Danios though, because they're such tiny, tiny fish. So what I'd recommend doing is, I've got like a mortar and pestle, and I took a bunch of fish food and I spent like 10 minutes just grinding the stuff up, and it looked really suspicious, and my mum was wondering what the heck I was doing. But I promised to her that I wasn't doing something bad. But to make sure that stuff gets really fine, and then I just get like a chopstick, and I just tap it a couple of times a day, because you don't want to overfeed the aquarium as well. Because basically what's going to happen is, if you overfeed it, you're going to get less fish. The fish aren't going to grow as well. They're going to get stunted growth and all that kind of stuff. So that's my tips. Another thing I'm going to say is, when you're keeping fry, especially fry that are that tiny, keep them in a small space, because it makes it a lot easier for you to feed them, for them to find their food and grow quicker. And you can also clean it out easier. So if you don't have like a breeder box, like I obviously have them on my website. I don't really want to promote that as much as other people do, because I'm just here to help you guys out. But they're just there for you guys if you want to find them. But you can obviously get them online at other places too. So like breeder boxes, like what I've got here, what you can use. So I hang them on the side of my aquarium. They work great because they use the aquarium water, so it keeps a stable parameter, water parameters in there, so you're not going to get like huge spikes of ammonia and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it a lot easier. But you can also use, like a lot of people use little Coles like trays, which is I know that in America Coles is like a clothes company, but they'd be the equivalent of like the little like just Tupperware Walmart trays, and they work perfectly fine too, because if you get like a really wide one with big surface area, you can just tap the dust on the top of it. So that's another tip. These guys, like obviously because they're so tiny, they don't need like an air pump or any of that stuff. They just need like a decent water quality, like the best water quality you can give them. But they don't need an air pump, because they don't breathe the same amount of water, oxygen out of the water as big fish do. So those are my tips. I hope I helped you out with that question. Yeah. 4 guppies in a 17-gallon tank. 3 females, 1 male, only 4 fry born, 1 at a time. Why? I'm guessing that the fry were pretty. I mean, the female was probably a bit young. When the fish get a bit older, they do have a few more fries. So I remember like when I was breeding guppies the first time, they don't get as many. I don't know if you watched them the whole time, Paul, but if you didn't watch them the whole time, maybe she had a couple, yeah. But when they're younger, because they're just smaller and their bodies are only getting used to it, they won't breed the same amount. So you might get like up to 10. But then after that, it gets crazy. Like when you get old guppies, you get like 70 guppies in like a brood. So it's nuts. So yeah. What else we got? Really thought you'd see me at the Pet Expo. Yeah. I've been mentioned by a few other guys, like the Oz Fish guys. Great content. Thank you. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I would have loved to be there, but I didn't know about it. So I didn't know about it in enough time in advance. So I would love to go there and meet everyone and have a good time. I know you've talked about using other fish to get rid of algae, but my tank is too small for other fish and my betta doesn't like others. Do you have any other suggestions? Yeah. To get rid of algae, there's like obviously a million different types. You can use like, if you've got hair algae, you can just use like a toothbrush and twine it up, and you can get all the algae out like that. Or if it's like the screen algae, you're just gonna have to scrub it off. If the tank water is full of algae, you got to turn the light off, or you're gonna move the tank. If it's a better tank, you can probably move it pretty easy. Yeah. If your bed is a little, I can't say the word. If he's naughty, maybe I don't know. That's a hard one. I feel like maybe if it's a big, like, I don't know what the size is there. If the aquarium's like over 20 gallons, which it probably isn't, you could definitely chuck Bristlenose plecos in there with a couple of hiding spots, because those guys are built like really like tanks. So they won't be able to, like, the bed is not going to be able to kill a Bristlenose pleco, I don't think. So those would be my solution for the surface algae, but you can also just scrub that stuff off pretty easy. But if you're talking about other algae-eating fish, you're obviously not going to be talking about like fish, because they can't eat the unsuspended water green algae. So yeah, would you put 2 male swordtails in the same tank, same as platies? Guppies and platies. It depends. Yeah, like I would. If the platies didn't have females, because what you're going to have happen is the platies and swordtails can actually breed with each other. So there's not going to be any point adding swordtails in the aquarium if you've got females of the platies, because you're going to have the 2 swordtails. So maybe you want that. But the swordtails are going to breed with the platies and kind of like create like a mess, like a hybrid. And I know, like, I'm just a purist, so I don't really like the hybrid kind of stuff. Like, sometimes I like it because it's like, if you can breed it to be easier for people to keep in the hobby, then that's good. But if it's like a hybrid that doesn't really do much, like those guys, I think that even if you breed them together, maybe they're not fertile anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it, but like, you can do it. There's nothing's going to be wrong. Those are just the only things. Craig bred rosy barbs, and they took 12 months to sell 300. Yeah, that's like, it's nuts. And the other annoying thing is, here in Australia, I'd love for you guys to be able to buy my fish, because I want, like, obviously I want someone to benefit from me making these fish so that they can have some really healthy fish as well. But the thing is, in Queensland, I don't know obviously all the laws, but I know that I don't think I can sell fish to any other states except for Queensland. So shipping them is hard because it obviously gets so hot in Queensland. But like, from like 3% of my audience, I think, is from like Australia. Like, it's insane. So not many of you guys are from here, and then the chance of you guys being in Queensland is crazy small too. So selling the fish is hard. I've been taking them. Another strategy you can use is, I was just taking them gradually, like you probably did, because it took 12 months. I've just been taking them slowly to the pet store. And I've been giving him a real good deal on them too, because I don't want him to have too many at a wrong price and then not be able to sell them, and then that ruin the relationship for us moving forward. So yeah, it can be annoying. So it's important, like I've talked about in other streams, that you find something that people want. Yeah. What else we got? You can also put that plastic egg crate material in the bottom of the tank. Yeah. So with the egg scatterers, obviously you can use a bunch of different stuff. You just want to separate you want to have the aquarium in like 2 sections. You want the egg scattering breeding fish up the top. You want something to divide that, but eggs can fall through. So you can use egg crate, or you can use like the mesh that I was using, or I've even seen people use marbles, and you want to create like a lower spot for the eggs to fall. You just want to divide it all. So yeah. What else we got? Say the word. I can't swear on this channel. We're keeping it too simple here. I can't say it. As much as I am Aussie, I can't say bad words here. That's the way we work here. I'd be really upset if I got some warnings from YouTube about swearing, and I know you can swear, but I don't want YouTube to think that I'm not like a family-friendly channel, which I am. So as much as I want to say them, I can't say them. Hey, what else we got? Live in South Australia. So yeah, I don't know. Cannot sell. Here we go. Craig's nailed us with the perfect answer. You cannot sell, if I think you're in Queensland too, obviously. You can't sell the Northern Territory, Western Australia, or Tassie. Same with live planes. Yeah, so like, because obviously all the states are very similar, but like separate laws. Especially with Australia, we have like insanely tight biosecurity laws. Like, it's ridiculously tight. and for fair reason, because we want to keep obviously all the ecosystems as clean as possible. We don't want like tilapia and stuff like that, which have come in. Like we've got cane toads here in Queensland, which eat all the native frogs and all that stuff. So good reason. But yeah, it's really tight. So you can't sell stuff to other states. It gets really annoying. And I don't know if it's the same in the US, because I see Aquabid is like this huge eBay market of fish, which I would love to have the access to. And if we could here in Australia sell to other states, I would definitely make that. But it just doesn't look like it's possible here. So pretty annoying. I know that if you guys are breeding in the US, you've got it a lot easier than what we have here, because it'd be a lot easier to sell stuff, especially with a population of over 300 million compared to 20 million here. I don't know if the coronavirus is, I know everyone's talking about it and it's really annoying. I don't know if that's going to affect the fish market at all. Like if we can sell our fish to each other, or if we're going to get the same importing rules as whatever. But yeah, it's pretty hard here. Is it legal to keep arowanas? No, I don't think it is in Australia to keep arowanas. I think you can keep Saratogas. I know that you can keep Saratogas, which are pretty similar. They're obviously not like arowanas, but you can keep them here. I'm not that big into like the bigger kinds of fish, which a lot of people are. And like a lot of people are into those like huge bass and stuff like that. And like, I think they're cool because a lot of people enjoy the feeding process of that. So they like to, with the big fish, they like to like do all that kind of stuff. I'm not big into the big fish, so I wouldn't keep a Saratoga or stuff like that, but you definitely cannot keep arowanas. So yeah, what else we got going on? We were talking about foods. If you guys weren't here for the start, I was talking about, like, obviously the title of the stream is going to be changed now to a Q&A, which is going to not be good for the algorithm, because they're going to be all confused by it. But it's going to be, what is the best food / Q&A, so you guys can ask whatever you want. You can be asked about, like, obviously the fish channel, or it can be asked about, like, my life, whatever. I don't know if you guys care about it. I don't care about it that much either. But at the start of this, we were talking about food. So I was explaining basically how if I was going to pick a food, I would pick, like, the best foods I'd pick are, if I was only allowed to pick a couple foods, it'd be the bloodworms, and I also said flakes. But of course, I'd also add baby brunch and stuff like that in there. But I was talking about how, like, there's no specific food. You guys, if you want to be like the best fish keepers possible, you have to have like a whole different range of foods that you guys can use, because the fish don't just eat in the wild bloodworms and flakes. Like, the flakes have tons of ingredients. Like, they've got spirulina, they've got wheat meal and all kinds of stuff. Obviously, that's designed to cover up that spectrum, but it doesn't do the same job. So basically, the message behind this whole entire live stream was that. And yeah, I hope that helped out some people, but we are still getting questions. So if I can help you guys out, it'd be great. What is the biggest fish you would keep at your house? The bit that I would keep, because I've only got the 4-foot sized aquariums, is probably going to be the angelfish. Discus, I'd definitely keep discus. I think I'd probably want a bigger tank, or I'd want a few more bigger tanks if I got discus, because obviously I'm not just going to keep them. I'm going to try and breed them like I do with everything. So yeah, definitely discus. So yeah, that's what I'd keep. Do I like yabbies? I love yabbies because they're freshwater boys, and I have them, like, they're in the dams and stuff like that in Queensland. I wouldn't keep them because you need, like, they're obviously going to eat and attack other stuff. So I wouldn't keep them, but I like them. Like, they're just like big cherry shrimp, except they're a little bit more feisty. So yeah. Are you allowed to keep piranhas with a permit? I know it's legal. It's legal to keep them in Australia. I really don't know. I'm not going to, like, answer that because I have absolutely no clue if you're allowed to keep piranhas. I think that if people were allowed to keep piranhas, that there'd be a lot more piranhas, because, like, that's pretty standard tropical fish for people to keep. Yeah. I'm thinking of starting a fish channel like you. Your videos have given me a lot of information. Keep it up. Yeah. People. And I'm glad that I've helped you out, like, and giving you some information, because that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to help you guys out. So yeah. Can you guys hear me? Everyone? Sarah Roper wants a piranha. Yeah, I want a piranha too. No arowanas or piranhas. Yeah, I didn't think so, because they're pretty pretty crazy fish. That could cause some problems especially in the in aquarium, in rivers in this area with fish that are not used to them. So yeah, no, Saratogas are a pretty cool fish though. They are like as similar as we can get probably to the arowanas. So they go for quite a hefty price too. My fish store often when he gets them in, he doesn't get many in. So I don't know if the importers don't have many of them, but when he gets them in, they're like sold before people even get to the store because they will prepay in advance. That's how especially these guys are here. If you give me a second just for the coronavirus. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I've just been suffering with that stuff. No, it's not the coronavirus, but yeah, it feels like it sometimes. No, it's not that bad. Yeah. So are you still going to school or do you make fish videos as a full-time job? Okay. I've never really talked about this here on the channel. So kind of. I don't go to school. I finished school last year, so that's probably why I've made a lot more videos this year. No, I finished school the year before that. So last year was my first full year out of school. So no, I'm not at school. I'm at university. So I was at school. I'm at university. I also work part-time in just with a real estate guy. So I do that and I make fish videos and I also run a little business repairing phones. So I've got this channel. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. I know you guys probably don't care, but there's another channel. If you look up my name, Nick Mandikos, you'll see I've made another channel which I've kind of stopped, but I repair mobile phones and I fix them up and sell them. So I do a whole bunch of stuff. I kind of never stop doing stuff. I just kind of do random stuff all the time. So I don't know if you guys, were interested in that. I've never really talked about it before, but yeah, so I'm 19 years old. I'm a fish keeper / YouTuber / real estate newbie / uni student. So I'm studying property at university. So that's what I do. And I don't know how old everyone else is as well. I've been doing this for a couple of years. So I started when I was, I think, 17. So, yeah. School, good old years. Yeah, they were. They weren't actually. I liked school a lot. The thing about school was it stopped me from making more fish videos and playing with and feeding my fish. So, I didn't really get to make and do the same things that I was doing now. So, that's why at the end of last year, I got the whole bunch of new tanks because I'm able to keep them now. I'm able to feed them. I'm able to do crazy breeding projects that I want to help you guys out with. So, that's my life, as you can call it. Yeah, just a bunch of interesting, weird things. Yeah, school, good old years. Yeah, you're older than me. I'm only 11. Yeah, I wish I started when I was your age. I started when I was 13. So you got a long time being in this hobby. If I can recommend anything to you, it's to take it slow. I think try and find I remember when I was a little kid, there's just so many things you want to do. It's really, really easy to burn out. So it's important that you try and find enjoyment in, I should probably make a whole nother live stream about this next week, but it's really important you try and find enjoyment in really small things. So your small successes, don't let it's going to happen to you. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to probably kill a couple of fish. It's going to be really sucky. Don't let that stop you from keeping the fish that you want to keep, because I know that I've had heaps of scenarios where I've had a fish that I absolutely love, and then they will just something will happen, and it's been so demotivating. But you want to keep going. You want to keep this hobby going. You don't want to burn out. That's just the big thing. So many people with hobbies burn out, and it's just something that I've been trying to stop myself from doing, because I move so quick. You can hear I've got so many balls in the air, so I don't want to burn out. So here we go. What else we got going on here? Where am I based out of? Yeah, I'm based out of Brisbane. So I don't know how many other people here are Brisbane. I don't know if YouTube, I should probably research that, but I don't know if YouTube does any geolocation stuff. If people in Brisbane are going to get recommended videos because I'm in Brisbane. I don't think it does, because it's such a big network. I don't see why it'd have any benefit. But yeah, 19 and that many subbies. I'm 45 and I only just got 500. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. Like a lot of people value the content, and like I'm glad that I can help out so many people, and like people are enjoying it still. So I hope to keep doing it for a long time. I want to keep helping you guys out and stuff like that. 500 subbies is still good. Like you still can like keep going, and yeah, just keep helping people out and trying to make the best videos you can. Like I don't think the numbers really matter that much. Like the numbers just kind of come by themselves if you can just keep making really cool videos that people want to watch. So as well, like don't get caught up in what people want to watch. Just make what you want to watch yourself, and that'll help you out a lot, because 500 is a lot of people. If you saw 500 people in front of you, you'd be pretty like impressed with what you've done. So yeah, 500 is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm pretty like lucky to have all you guys watch my videos, and yeah, I'm super thankful for that. So thank you so much for that, all you guys here. Like I don't give you enough credit for how much we're doing. I do a channel, but I only do gaming on there. I feel like it's the same as the fish breeding. Yeah, Chris Lynn. I hope that's the real Chris Lynn. No, Chris Lynn's a cricket player for the Brisbane Heat. He's had a. If you're wondering what the Brisbane Heat is, the Brisbane Heat is because in Australia we have the game cricket. I don't know, because like heaps of you guys are from the US. Cricket's like a pretty interesting game to explain. I can't really explain it the same way as what you guys would want me to. But Chris Lynn plays for the Brisbane Heat. He's known to hit sixes. He's known to be a powerful cricketing player. I know you guys don't care, so keep watching the live stream. But had a pretty bad season last year. Well, like this season. So if that's you, Chris Lynn, I'd be happy to have you on the podcast, mate. And I'd be happy, well, not the podcast, this live stream. You can come next weekend and we can talk about your form, because, yeah, that was pretty average this season. But what fish food is recommended? The fish food that was recommended was pretty much, it's going to annoy people, no specific fish food. I'm not endorsed. I can't really like promote people, but if I'm going to recommend fish food, it's what I said was it's a variety. I've repeated this a million times. A variety of different foods you want to try out. Like you want to, I've repeated myself a million times. You want to like make the biggest range of different foods as possible, because you want to get like algae and spirulina and all that kind of stuff. So if I, like I said before, if I was going to get any food to be like the bloodworms and the flakes and all that kind of stuff, you guys can go back after this and watch it. It wasn't, it was a couple, the 20 minutes ago. So yeah, you know what cricket is? Sweet. Yeah. The real Chris Lynn wouldn't use the term boy. Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he might. He probably used the term mate. But yeah. You're not real. Yeah. You're an alien. And you hit that 6 out of the Gabba. Yeah, that was pretty. You're an alien because you also look like one too. So yeah. glad Chris Lynn's watching fish videos. Yeah. If you guys have any other questions, quickly drop them in, because I don't know how much longer we'll go. If you guys want to just ask a few more things, I'm happy to wait a little bit longer. But yeah. No, thanks so much for watching this live stream. If you guys want to watch or see more of them, you guys can come and watch them. Like I'll try and do them more often. But yeah, you guys got any more questions? Yeah. I think I'll wrap it up in a minute or so. So yeah, pretty fun. We only got a couple people in here, but that's completely fine. So yeah. Anyways, I think we'll wrap it up here. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this live stream, guys. Is there any more? Yeah, I don't think so. Thanks so much for watching this, guys. I'll re-upload this, obviously, so you guys can watch it if you want to get some more information, or you want to rewatch the information and the questions and that kind of stuff. Will I do more lives? Yes. I'll try and do more lives. Lives take, for some reason, they take more time than making videos, it feels like, because it's hard to, I feel like, make the time to sit for. So, how do you get on with night? Okay, good. We got a couple more questions here. I can keep talking. This is the longest time I've talked. How do you get on with knife fish? We got a flashing LED. I don't know if you guys can see it. I've never kept like knife fish because they're not like an easy fish to breed, and they look cool, but you don't get to see them much. So I can't comment on knife fish. I haven't seen them that much, but yeah. What else we got? All right, yeah, probably gonna head off. Thanks so much for watching this video. Well, not this video, this live stream. And yeah, we'll do another one sometime soon. So yeah, thank you. And I'll see you guys in the next live. Bye.